Hi, in this lesson, I want us to go through the descriptive terms we've been working on and the identification as well of the igneous, sedimentary, metamorphic rocks and fossils that we need to know for GCSE geology, and in particular uh, to help us interpret the maps that we're going to be working on through the rest of Theme 14. So you'll need your annotated um, diagrams from the start of your pink Theme 14 booklet. Okay then, let's go. So let's work through the rocks in turn. If you need to add anything to your descriptions or annotations, do so as we're going through the video. Okay, let's start by identifying some minerals. Mineral A, or A1 should I say, is muscovite mica. Mineral A2 is biotite mica. If you put mica for both of those, that's completely fine. Mineral A3 then, because of those two planes of cleavage and the white colour, has got to be a feldspar. So we've got a rock here, random interlocking crystals. It's quite coarse crystals as well. They're all bigger than 3 millimeters. It's porphyritic. We've got some very large crystals. You see the feldspars there, and these biotites are much bigger than the other minerals surrounding them. It's going to be quite light in colour. Most of these minerals are light coloured ones, so it's silicic. So therefore, this is granite. Rock B is, again, let's identify a mineral. 2 planes of cleavage in black, that's got to be augite. So this rock then has got medium crystals. The crystals here are bigger than 1 millimeter, but aren't getting to 3 millimeters. Again, they're random and interlocking. This one though is equicrystalline, so all the crystals are about the same sort of size, with a steady rate of cooling, and it's mafic composition because it contains olivine. Olivine and augite are going to be mafic minerals. So this particular rock is dolerite. Rock C then, we've got a green hard mineral there. That's going to be olivine. We've also got feldspar in here as well. The crystals in this one though are quite fine, most of them. Again, they're random and interlocking. It is porphyritic. There are some bigger crystals in here, as well as the finer grain ones, and it's mafic in composition. It contains olivine, and it's generally dark in colour, so it's going to be mafic. So this particular rock is a basalt. Rock D then, all the minerals are identified. You can see that we have augite and quartz in there. There's quite a lot of augite as well. So this is a real mixture of minerals. So it's intermediate in composition. The crystals are all fine, all less than a millimeter, random and interlocking, and they're all the same size. So they're equicrystalline. This particular rock is an andesite. Rock E then, uh, mineral E, because it fizzes with acid, is going to be calcite. This particular rock is fragmental. There are fragments of rock, so it's clastic. It's moderately well sorted. There is a variation in the size of the grains here, but not a massive one. And those grains are small rounded pebbles. They're just a bit bigger than 4 millimeters, so they're just about pebbles, but they are still pebbles and they are rounded. Because of that, this rock is a conglomerate. Rock F has a couple of minerals to identify. A white mineral with two good cleavage directions has got to be feldspar. The colourless mineral without cleavage is going to be quartz. There's clay as well in this rock as well. Again, it's fragmental and clastic. This one, though, is poorly sorted. There's a big range of grain sizes within this. But these grains are all sand size. None of them are bigger than 2 millimeters. So this rock is a type of sandstone. But because there's a lot of feldspar in here, this is a type of sandstone we call an arkose. The type of thing we get in a desert river. Rock G then, no minerals to identify. This one again is fragmental, it's clastic. This one is very poorly sorted. There's a mixture of sand and silt going all the way up here to big cobbles, okay, angular cobbles of pre-existing rock. Because we've got very coarse grains in here, and because they're angular, this particular rock is a breccia. Rock H then is predominantly made of mineral H. White mineral with 3 good cleavages, quite harder than a fingernail. This is going to be calcite. This particular rock then is actually a chemical sediment. It is fossiliferous, but most of the this rock is this calcite mud. It's very fine grained as well. Because most of this rock is made of calcite, rock H has got to be a limestone. Rock I then, we can see a mixture of some quartz and clay. Nothing particularly metamorphic in here, but we can see it very definitely. It's foliated. It's very, very fine grained. And this foliation then will make cleavage. So it's been formed by regional metamorphism. But because we haven't got any sort of real recrystallization going on in here, this particular rock is a slate. Rock J then, we have mineral J, which is muscovite mica or mica. Either identification is fine. This one again is foliated. We can see there's an alignment of those mica crystals. Because they're mica crystals, this has schistosity and is formed by regional metamorphism. So this rock then is a schist. Rock K then, 2 minerals to identify. We've got a colourless mineral that's quite hard, so that's quartz. And this red mineral that's very hard, scratches a steel pin, is going to be garnet. We also have mica in there. Now, because that mica is aligned, this rock is foliated. It's also porphyroblastic because we've got those big crystals of garnet that have grown in there. The alignment of the mica, though, makes schistosity, and again, it's formed by regional metamorphism. So this particular rock is also a schist. Watch out for the Year 8 worksheet trap. Don't make assumptions, always work on the data that you're given. If you want to get more picky about it, this is actually what we call a garnet mica schist. Rock L is made of possibly calcite, a white mineral that's harder than a fingernail. Could be calcite, but it could also be quartz. We'd have to work out its hardness relative to a copper coin or a knife, a steel knife or a steel pin to work that out. If we look at the texture of this, it's not foliated. It's granoblastic because all the crystals are about the same size, and it must be formed by contact metamorphism. So this particular rock could be a marble, or it could be a metaquartzite. It depends on your identification of that white mineral that's harder than a fingernail. If it's calcite, it's a marble. If it's quartz, it's metaquartzite. But we don't have enough information from that test there to be able to tell definitively which way it is. The other test, of course, we could do is to drop some acid on it. If it fizzed, it'd be marble. If it didn't, it would be metaquartzite. This could also be described as having a sugary texture. Okay, let's have a look at some fossils. Each of these fossils then we should be able to identify. So fossil M is a coral, and that lives in warm, shallow marine conditions. Very, very distinctive, very fussy organism about where it lives. Fossil N is a graptolite that lives in deep marine conditions. Fossil O is a plant which is terrestrial. Fossil P, a bit of a simple diagram but very distinctive shape of an ammonite that's marine, can be shallow or deep. Ammonites, they're pretty free swimmers. Fossil Q, which I need to change because it's the same as O, sorry about that, is a plant which is terrestrial. Fossil R then, we see that again distinctive coral shape, but it's slightly different to fossil P, is also an ammonite, which is marine. Fossil S then is a plant, so it's terrestrial. Fossil T is very distinctive. It's a trilobite. The 3 parts of the body there: the head, the cephalon, the thorax, the segmented bits in the middle, and its tail, the pygidium, which is marine. It can be deep marine or shallow. They did live in different environments. Fossil U is a graptolite, again deep marine. Fossil V then is a trace fossil. Okay, now we can find trace fossils in lots of different environments. Fossil W is another trace fossil. This one is a burrow. They tend to be marine organisms where you find burrows like that. The previous one we saw was a feeding trail. We can find those in all sorts of environments. Fossil X is a trilobite. Again, a marine organism. Fossil Y is a coral, different type of coral from the first one we looked at. This is what we call a colonial coral because there are lots of individuals that live together. It lives in warm, shallow marine conditions. And fossil Z, again, is another coral. Okay. Each of these fossils has distinctive features that allows us to identify them. We need to be familiar with them. But all we need to be able to do is identify these as corals, trilobites, graptolites. We don't need to know individual species. So, as we watch the sunset on a fairly spectacular looking fossil find there, it's really important for all of these geological materials, whether they're rocks, minerals, or fossils, to be able to use the right terminology to describe and identify them. You can't blag it. You've got to know what these terms are, and the best way to do that is to be practicing, reviewing, and revising them as we work our way through Theme 14. What we need to start doing next is thinking about how these different materials might actually appear on a geological map. But that's for another lesson. I'll see you then.